So the topic of today's sermon is consequences. Recently, I've seen some very interesting videos on YouTube about training. In some of the videos, it's about dog training, where some animals, some dogs, are very poorly trained or not trained at all. These dogs will, even on a leash, will pull their master different ways. They'll bark at different dogs, try to bite different dogs. They're overexcited or they can't take stimulus. And in these cases, either two things happen. One, they are not trained and they get older and they have these really bad behavior traits and they end up hurting someone, and unfortunately sometimes they get put down. They get put to sleep or something bad happens to someone. In some cases, they grow up not being trained, but at some point they have an opportunity to be trained, and then they get trained. And then they relearn their personalities, their behaviors, and they become good dogs. And after that, no more problems. And another case where they're trained since they're little, when they're young puppies, and they grow up to be very good dogs, and they don't seem to have problems. Like, for example, Sadie, who used to come to our temple, her owner would bring her to the door, and he wouldn't have to tell her anything. She would just know she's not allowed to come inside. No leash, no nothing. She would just sit right at the door. You could put food inside the door and she wouldn't come eat it because she knows she's not allowed. She's very well trained and very well loved. You even see the same thing in children, where as children, are we trained good behavior traits by our parents? Do we train good behavior traits for ourselves? Are we stubborn, willful? Are we bad kids? Some of us are. In fact, probably most of us are. Because as humans, we don't like to be trained. We are offended. When someone says, you need better training, you're offended. When someone says, oh, it looks like you haven't been trained. Oh, you're insulting me. I'm offended. But no matter how offended we get, the one thing we never do is look at our actual behavior. We fight with people all the time. We have issues with people all the time. And the very interesting thing is, we never seem to see that it's because of our training. We say it's because of you. You are not treating me fairly. You did not give me the opportunity. You said something rude to me. That's why I did this. It's never because of our training. It's always because of the failure of the other people's trainings. And this is a major flaw in human beings. Our inability and our desire to not be trained. Leave me alone, my freedoms, I will do what I want. But this is one interesting concept of the topic today, consequence. The one thing that teaches dogs and even teaches children or anyone who's well trained is the concept of consequence. If you do this action, is there a consequence? If there is, you remember the consequence, which you link back to the behavior. If you don't like the consequence, don't do the behavior. But as human beings, we are so tricky. We don't talk about the action. We just talk about the consequence. And we will lie, cheat, and steal, excuse, and try to find a way to avoid the consequence while holding firm to the action. I heard a story from one of our students who shared a story and said, he's a teacher and he was talking to one of his students. He decided to make a joke to the student. And after he made the joke, he said, oh no, that was kind of inappropriate. And now he's stressing out, like, the child is the kid of the owner of the school. Is he going to tell his father? Is he going to get mad? Is he going to get upset? What's the father going to do? Oh man, I shouldn't have said it. But you know what? I just hope they take into consideration all my hard work, and I hope they don't fire me, this and that. But one thing that stands out is that if you are willing to play, if you are willing to joke, and you're willing to do the action, why are you not equally willing to accept the consequences? And if you're not willing to accept the consequences, you should be focusing on the action, not trying to avoid the result. And so, as a conclusion, we really need to understand consequence, because that is the key factor in changing our behavior. That's the key factor in convincing us that we shouldn't have done that. don't focus on the result that it's bad. Focus on where did it come from. And if you can eliminate it, then it won't happen again. It's much better to not do it than to run around cleaning up after yourself.